you know, when you see some people who act like donkeys, like Blueface and all them, you just be wanting to ignore it, but then you be feeling so bad for these young kids in these situations around these weird people. It's absolutely a mess.
Me a nigga who contain me. Coming through and making niggas switch teams. I'm feeling really pussy.
Okay, so we're gonna get right to it. Apparently Blueface or his new girl or whatever, I don't know, posted this video. In it you can see that they clearly hired dancers, strippers, whatever. And Blueface is the one recording. Then we see him go to the pantry, and this is when this conversation between him and his son happens. Right, this kid is 6 years old. He was in the pantry looking for chips or whatever, and Blueface said some shit like, what did he say? He said, son, come here, it's booty cheeks out here and you in here looking for some chips. You ain't gay, is you? You ain't gay, right? And then obviously his son is just like, when his son shook his head in response, Blueface stuck his hand out for a high five and said, my man, my dog. Now, before we get into anything, before we get into the, you know, isms and the phobias y'all already know I'm about to say, I want to talk about how empty that pantry was. Of course, I'm looking for chips. I'm looking for, I mean, even if it's saltine crackers or something, dry ass carb, something to sustain myself. Of course I'm looking for why would he not be he's looking for something in that empty ass pantry. What are you talking about, Blueface? Why are you surprised? Yeah, he hungry. This 6-year-old child is hungry. Feed them. Scavenging for motherfucking chips in this empty ass pantry. Y'all hiring all these fucking dancers, but you ain't got no food in the pantry. Priorities. It is so wild that it's like this culture of exposing these young boys to grown ass women. You know what I mean? Like, y'all queer phobia is so strong and deep in y'all heart that y'all, that's what y'all do. Now, just imagine if they were male strippers out there and Blueface went in there asking his son to go out there. Imagine it. Just imagine for a second how the internet would go up in fucking flames. I mean, I'm glad that the internet called him out for doing this shit, but you could see, I don't understand how people can't see what we talk about. And I hate that I always have to, you know, swap the sexes of the dancers or the victim in this case, the son, for y'all to see it. For example, if there were male strippers out there and Blueface went asking his daughter to go out there, like, why you ain't out there? It's sexy ass men out there, you know, like we would see. You see what I'm saying? I hate that we have to switch the sexes, switch the gender of these, you know, people in these situations for some people to get it. Like, I don't understand, you know, but this is what y'all excuse. This is what y'all use. We seen it when Boosie told us what he did with his son, the same shit going on. He was doing the same shit. So, and one of the most important points I think here is to talk about that, like, this is how DL men are invented. Okay. Because I'm not saying that the kid is queer. We don't know what's going on. The kid could be queer, the kid could not be queer. But if the kid is queer, now he knows that he cannot be himself fully around your ass. And he gonna hide it. Yeah, I ain't gay, whatever. As long, you see what I'm saying? So y'all create the very situations that encourage DL men to be DL men. You socialize boys like this from the time that they young as hell, barely can conceptualize their own consciousness. You see what I'm saying? You do this shit, and then you get older and wonder why DL men are around, why these men are lying. You created the very environment for this shit to happen. So now when your kids are actually queer, because you mess them up sexually or, you know, try to force them to interact as young kids with the opposite sex, with somebody who's older, who's the opposite sex, like, just because you do all that shit will not prevent your kid from being queer if your kid is queer. We already know that shit because of the amount of straight bullshit y'all shove down our queer ass throats, and we still queer. We still here. Like Tisha Campbell, we still here. So you project your homophobia onto your kids, and you go so far as to, like, mess them up sexually. Y'all let them get abused by adults to try to make sure that they're not queer, even though, like, I mean, it's basic science, basic understanding of reality. That's not how sexuality fucking works. Y'all be traumatizing the hell out of these young boys. Like, this kid is being a kid. He's looking for food. He's in this empty ass pantry, right? Like, y'all traumatized. Oh, you ain't gay. You ain't gay. The kid is a kid. He's like, grown ass adults are out there doing whatever they do. He probably retreated and was just like, what the fuck's going on? I'm going to go in this empty. It's a lot of safety in this pantry because there ain't nothing else in there. I guess he thought, he was like, bitch, like, they're grown ass adults. Like, which little kid wouldn't retreat or wouldn't fall the fuck back, seeing all this kind of shit that they barely understand going on? Like, I don't get it. Coming in here pressing this young boy about if he's gay or not, you know? And it's like, y'all, that's the issue to y'all. That's the issue, whether or not somebody queer or not. That's the only thing people focus on when it's just like, you are literally traumatizing your kid right now. Like, do you understand that we fuck the gay shit, fuck all that shit. You got these grown ass women around these young boys. Like, I don't understand how we're talking about anything other than how fucked up that shit is, you know? And like I said before, it seems like the only way people can figure out that it's fucked, or some people can figure out that it's fucked up, is if you swap the, you know, people in the situation. You have to say, oh, what if it was a young girl and y'all were just forcing her out there to these grown men? And it's just like, why do we have to continue to do that for y'all to see how fucked, or to barely see how fucked up it is? You know, I was listening to one idiot online speak about the situation, and they were being asked by somebody else who was like saying, okay, the same thing that I was like, hey, what if this was a young girl, y'all were pushing them out there to grown ass male strippers? Like, what? And the person responded by saying, oh, well, you know, man and woman, we ain't the same, we ain't got running by the same rules. I'm just like, this is a child. And y'all, the thing is that it's so normalized that a lot of like men went through, a lot of, when they were younger, went through this shit, and instead of like analyzing or dealing with it for what it is, a lot of people just try to normalize it. They'd be like, well, you know, I went through it. Oh, who hasn't had a hot teacher that they wanted when they were young? And it's just like, this ain't about all that. It's about the ways in which adults will go out of their way to put young boys in fucked up situations sexually. You know what I mean? And just for the sake of being queerphobic, just for the sake of like, oh, well, we got to make sure these motherfuckers ain't gay. And y'all do all that shit, and then these people grow up, whether they might grow up straight or whatever, but still traumatized, or they'll grow up traumatized, queer, feeling the need to hide it because of the communities that they were in and that they were raised by. Y'all are fucking these young boys up, and they growing up, and they are wreaking havoc across the fucking communities. Period. You fucking these young boys up, they're growing up, they're becoming abusers, they're becoming assaulters, sexual assault, like you're fucking them up, you know? And if you would get rid of that bullshit, if you get rid of that queer phobia, a lot of the other bullshit would fall away. But y'all would have to really change your worldview for real, because y'all view certain things as normal and like a rite of passage for young boys, and what it actually is just trauma, a cycle of fucked up trauma y'all exposing these young kids. And we have it politically, culturally, people having all these conversations about groomers this and drag queens that and da. I'm just like, y'all are doing this shit in y'all churches, y'all are doing this shit in y'all homes. Y'all need to be focused on that shit, on this shit, not drag brunch. This is the shit that y'all need to be focused on, because y'all fucking up the community for real. They fucking up the community. Anyway, that's what I want to talk about. Let me know what you think about this whole situation. It's just, we see it over and over. That's why I brought up Boosie. I'm like, we see it over and over. I'm like, the way y'all socializing these boys is fucked up. It's really messed up. So yeah, thank y'all so much for listening. Check out my description box for my Patreon and my other content. And make sure that you have a good goddamn
me a nigga who contain me. Screen, coming through, we make a nigga switch teams. I'm feeling really pussy, got that shit in my jeans. I'm fly, and the guys that got their eyes on